In this video, I'm going to talk about the Gospel according to Matthew, as it's recorded in the Bible, chapter 2. Now, what does this chapter cover? This chapter covers the wise men coming to see Jesus, them talking to Herod, them actually seeing Jesus, then the flight of Jesus' father and mother and Jesus to Egypt, and then Herod killing all the babies in Bethlehem, and then Joseph coming back from Egypt to Israel, but not going back to Bethlehem, going back to Nazareth. So those are the key events which happen in this chapter. Let's go into a bit more detail with each of them, thinking about anything which is significant or interesting about each of them. So first of all, we've got these wise men. Now, these are quite interesting figures because they come out of nowhere. They don't seem to be Jews. They come just from the East, and they are described as wise, and they give very rich gifts. So they seem to be very wealthy and very, very wise. And that itself begs a lot of intrigue. Why are these people so concerned? And then they are guided by a star, which is itself reminiscent of the Old Testament, namely the fact that Moses is guided by a pillar of light in the desert when he's wandering around with the Jews. Then they go to Herod and they tell him, look, we're looking for the king of the Jews and we want to come worship him, which is itself quite a significant thing. They're the first people to declare that the king of the Jews is about, and that news has a shocking effect on Jerusalem and Herod and all the people in Jerusalem. They're quite scared as a result of it, which I think is quite reasonable because that's quite a big thing to say. It's saying that, okay, there's this ruler of all these people who have been around for 1,000 years or so, but nobody knows who he is, and he's just being born, and he's actually the ruler of all of you. I think that would strike a bit of fear into anybody's mind and soul because we don't know who he is. Who is this person? And that there's a lot of uncertainty which creates that fear of what's going to happen to us. Then what do? Then Herod says, okay, go and find this young child, find the Christ child, and then bring him back to me. Go to him, find him, then tell me where he is so I can go and worship him. Now this is a very devious side to Herod, which is being revealed, very scheming side, because it's revealed that when the wise men don't come back to him, Herod says, kill all the babies in Bethlehem. So clearly it was his original intention to kill Jesus, to kill this so-called king of the Jews, because, well, what's the reasonable explanation for this is Herod feels threatened because he's currently the king of the Jews. He doesn't want anybody else to take any of his power away from him, so he wants him dead. But instead of saying that to the wise men initially, in order to get his way, because obviously the wise men want to worship the king of the Jews and not to kill him, Herod tricks them. He says, oh, actually, I want to worship him too. He lies to them, which, in addition to the fact that he's a murderer, makes him an even blacker character, an even more unpleasant character. We've also got in this chapter lots of prophecies being fulfilled. We've got the fact that Jesus is born in Bethlehem, being tied back to Micah chapter 5 verse 2, which says that the Son of God is going to be born in Bethlehem. We've also got Jeremiah chapter 31 verse 2, I think, which says that there will be Rachel weeping for her child, which is that's brought into relevance because Herod kills all the babies, and obviously there are weeping mothers in Bethlehem. Then we've also got the fact that Joseph and Mary and Jesus go into Egypt to escape Herod's persecution, and thus they are later called out from Egypt, and that's fulfilling a prophecy in Hosea, I think 11:1, which is, out of Egypt I called my son. Then finally there's the prophet. Then there's a reference to the Old Testament, which isn't actually clear where it's from, but the fact that Christ is going to be a Nazarene, which relates to the fact that Joseph came back not to Bethlehem, but because he was being warned in a dream not to go there, to Nazareth. So lots of prophecies being fulfilled. Very interesting, the nature of the wise men, because it's unknown where they come from, and the brutality and deviousness of Herod is significant too.